Hello, my name's Kathy. Thank you. Happy International Education Week. I'm going to be presenting a little bit about Guatemala and mole de plátano. So be ready for a very sweet presentation. So you might be wondering, where is Guatemala located? It is located in Central America, right there. And Central America is composed of 7 countries. That's Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. And the misconception about Central America is that it's part of Mexico, but it's not. And then Guatemala is right there with a very distinct figure. It is the largest out of the 7 countries with a population of almost 7 million people. As for demographics, they are divided in departments, also called departamentos, with Petén being the biggest. 56% of the population is mestizo, so that means they're European and indigenous ancestry, and the 43.4% are indigenous. So that's made up of many Mayan groups and one non-Mayan group called the Xinca. And the biggest Mayan group is the Quiche. Although Spanish is an official language, there are 21 Mayan languages spoken. So that shows how prominent the indigenous population is in Guatemala. There are also Afro and Asian Guatemalan populations. So for the Afro Guatemalans, there is a group called the Garifuna. They are a population of African and indigenous ancestry from the Caribbean. They were in exile, so many of them came to Central America. And for the Asian Guatemalan population, they consist of Chinese and Korean descent, and their influence very evident in Guatemala because Guatemala has a thing for chow mein, and although they prepare it differently, they like eating chow mein a lot. And for the geography of Guatemala, it could be divided into the northern plains, the central highlands, and the Pacific coast lowlands. Not many people live in the northern plains. They live more in the highlands, but in the northern plains, that's where you find like the history and ruins of the Mayan civilization. And there you could find the temples of Tikal. And also there are rainforests there, so they produce the fine wood and rubber. In the highlands, that's where you'll find the volcanoes. There's 30 of them, but there's only 3 active, thankfully. The 3 volcanoes are Pacaya, Fuego, and Santiaguito. The recent one that erupted was Pacaya. And then in the agricultural lowlands, that's where they produce the 3 biggest exports, which is coffee, sugar, and bananas. And then we have beautiful Lake Atitlan, which is the deepest lake in Central America with a depth of 1,120 feet. And that's located right there. And the capital of Guatemala is Guatemala City, or in Spanish, we just say Guatemala. It's the most populated and largest city in Central America, and it serves as the industrial and commercial center of the country. It also has the population of almost 1 million. And the fun fact is that Guatemala City was once a Mayan city of Caminalhuyu, which was conquered by the Spaniards. And Guatemala City wasn't initially the capital of Guatemala, it was Antigua Guatemala, but Antigua Guatemala got destroyed by an earthquake. So this is now the capital since 1776. And then this is the beautiful Guatemalan flag. It features sky blue and white, similar to the other Central American countries. That is because before they were the Federal Republic of Central America, they were all together, but due to internal conflict and not being able to overcome which ideologies to go with, they collapsed. So now they're all separate. So we have sky blue representing the two bodies of water that surrounds Guatemala, which is the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean. And then we have white representing peace and purity. Then we have the coat of arms that presents the national bird of Guatemala, which is the quetzal. And then we have the scroll that has a date of the independence from Spain. And it reads, Libertad, 15 de septiembre de 1821, which translates into Liberty, September 15th of 1821. And then we have the two firearms, which represents the willingness to defend the country. And then the two swords that represent honor. And then the bay laurel crown that represents victory. Right here we have the national bird of Guatemala, which is the quetzal. It has been the national bird of Guatemala since 1924. This bird is very sacred to Guatemala, and even before in the Mesoamerican civilizations, they believed it was Quetzalcoatl, the plumed serpent, god and creator of earth. So nobles and rulers would have headdress made of the quetzal's feathers because they believed it connected them with Quetzalcoatl. You might be wondering, how did they make these headdresses? They would not kill them. That would be a crime. Instead, they would capture them and pluck the feathers out. And that's how they made the headdresses. And the one picture right here, that's Moctezuma's headdress. So as you can see, it wasn't just important for the Mayans, but for the Aztecs as well. And then, the males are the only ones that have the red chest, and the females have the gray chest. So that would be a male right there. And then Guatemala's currency is called the quetzal because back then the Mayans would use the green feathers as currency. And this beautiful flower is called La Monja Blanca. It's in English, the white nun. It became the national flower since 1934. The story behind it was the president of the International Exhibition of Flowers, Leticia Sutherland, suggested to the president of Guatemala at the time that this should be the national symbol because it comes from there, and why not should it be like the national symbol since it represents Guatemala's beauty? And the government agreed to make it so. It is also a great species orchid, which takes 15 years before it flowers and only blooms from December to February. Since such a rare species, in 1947, they prohibited the collection and export of the species, and the ban was extended to other species of orchids. An important person is Rigoberta Menchú Tum. She was born in 1959 to a poor family and raised by the Quiche branch of the Mayan culture. And she's very important because she was a human rights activist, and through her activism and her struggle for social justice for her people, she earned the Nobel Peace Prize in 1992. She was part of the committee of the Peasant Union, and she advocated for better conditions for the workers in the Pacific Coast, because much of the workers that worked in the Pacific lowlands were indigenous. And during that time, the United Fruit Company was in control of that. So it's an American company. So you can imagine the exploitation. And then to better her activism, she learned Spanish and other Mayan languages other than her native Quiche. And the time she was living through was not very great. Most of her families were killed during the Civil War of Guatemala. So a little about the Civil War is that it's a bloody 36-year-old national conflict that resulted in deaths of over 200,000 Mayan people. So that was considered genocide to the Mayan population. The conflict started because the assassination in 1954 of Jacobo Arbenz. He was the president at the time, and he wanted to impose leftist policies And that didn't go well for certain nearby countries like United States. So they overthrew him. Then in 1960, it started the Civil War. Now we have like the governments run by the military, and then we have like this guerrilla. So it's just a conflict between ideologies because the Civil War was happening during the Cold War. So tensions were high. And like I said, many of her family members were killed by the Civil War. That included her father, mother, and 2 brothers. So during exile, she continued to advocate for indigenous rights in Guatemala and internationally. There are 3 occasions that she would return to Guatemala, but she would get death threats. But now that the Civil War has ended in 1996 by a peace accord, she now resides in the Quiché department with her husband and son. And also in 2007 and 2011, she ran for president. I don't think she won, but she did establish a political party. I probably saying it wrong, but the WINAC. So that's the first indigenous political party. So the part where you guys been waiting for is Mole de Plátanos. A little about the dish. I first became aware of it when one day my dad, like all suddenly he made it, and then I really liked how it came out. So I tried to like make it my own. I add a few like twists in here and there. So I really hold this dish close to me because it also represents my culture. As for essential ingredients, the first one on our list is plantains. It's such a good staple, a very staple in Central America, the northern part of South America, and much of the Caribbean. But they're not native to Central America. They come from Africa, but they originate from Southeast Asia. But of course, like with the Europeans, they brought them over. And so, but since Central America has such a nice climate, very tropical, they grow abundantly. So tips when getting your plantains for the dish, get them more on the yellower side. But if you do get them too green, you can wrap them in newspaper and start them in the oven. Don't turn it on, but just leave it there for a week because the heat that conducts in there will ripen it. And they're like bananas, you know, the yellower, the riper they are, the sweeter they are. And then for the other ingredients, we have pumpkin seeds. So you can find them in the store. They usually come in like small or big packs. And some days they come in like in their shell. So I recommend them that you get them like peeled already so you save some time. And they also go by different names like pepitoria or pepitas. So yeah. And then for the chocolate, I get chocolate tablets for like making hot chocolate. I either get the brand Abuelita or Ibarra. Right now I've been getting Ibarra. And there's also another brand called Moctezuma. So you can find this in Latin American stores. And for tomatoes, get them nice and red, right? For the videos, I use only 2. But if you like it more tomatoey, you get more tomatoes. And then for sesame seeds, you can find them in Latin American stores. They sometimes sell them like in big bags. Yeah. And then you have the chiles, chile guajillo and chile pasilla. So you can find in Latin American stores, they have like a big one of all the chiles you want, but you want guajillo, it's more smooth. Sometimes they're curved or like straight. And then chile pasillas are wrinkly. And dried chiles are really important to sauce type dishes in Latin America because not only do they give spice to the dish, it adds texture to the sauce. Then we have cinnamon. They sell them like in packs or like by the pound. I thought like maybe you could get away with ground cinnamon, but I feel you'll lack that toastiness when you toast it. It goes for like the tomatoes as well. Like, can you substitute with tomato sauce? Maybe, yeah, but I just enjoy like the freshness of it because tomato sauce can be a bit too pasty. Then red bell pepper. This is the ingredient that I added it because when I first started, I was like, I just felt like the red bell pepper just belonged there. Maybe because they added more color to it. But if you don't have a red bell pepper, you could opt for more tomatoes into it. And just seeing from perspective, the ingredients we have, I just like how this dish, in its essence, is still indigenous. It has its Mayan like ingredients, but still incorporating foreign influences. Because, for example, the bananas, sesame seeds, and cinnamon come from the Europeans. But we still have the chocolate, the chiles, and the pumpkin seeds and tomatoes, which are native to Latin America. So I just like how it has the ingredients from the two continents. And more tips when making mole de plátano is use the 1.5 cup of water to soak the chocolate tablets. So they're like pre-soaked and easier to melt when you put them in the sauce. And then we have to cut the bell pepper and tomatoes in half and take the seeds and flesh out. So it's not like too soggy when you cook them. And then we have tip 4, which is remove the seeds from the chiles and the stem as well. But be careful not to touch your eyes. The seeds, you don't really have to take them out, but for sure the stem, but I just do it. But again, don't touch your eyes because you're going to cry. And then there are variations to the dish. Some people put prunes in it. I personally am not a fan, but I'm assuming they will taste much more sweeter and add texture to the sauce. And then we have the good old champurradas. That is usual in the dish, but I can't get my hands on them because there are no Guatemalan bakeries here in Fresno, only in Los Angeles. But if you're wondering what it is, it's like a sweet bread, but more like a cookie. They're very enjoyable when dipped in coffee. They're very good. Now we're at step 1 of the dish, which is cutting and frying. There's no right way to cut the plantain. For aesthetics, I cut it that way. But you can cut it what you like a circle or like that. Or the long way, you cut it in half and cut it the long way. That works too. And for frying, so I recommend when you put the cup of oil, you let it heat up so you get the nice sizzling noise. And depending how many plantains you're going to be cooking, I recommend that you cook it in batches so they cook well. And you'll be handling hot oil, so be careful and keep an eye on them that they don't burn. And this is my mom helping me out. Then step 2 is toasting. As you see right there, you're getting a nice golden brown on the plantains. And once you're content with the color, you put in a plate with the paper towel and you let that paper towel like get the excess oil. And right there, you see the red bell peppers and tomatoes cooking. Then we have the pepitas cooking, being toasted. And a funny part about the pumpkin seeds is that they tend to jump and you find one jumping like super high. So be careful about that. And they toast fairly quick, like the sesame seeds. And then you toast the chiles. Be careful not to toast the chiles so much because they tend to get bitter. And for the cinnamon, it could take on some more heat. So you could let that like toast. And if you want, you could like break it apart so it toasts evenly. That works too. And step 3 is blending. This is my favorite part. So you put all the ingredients that you toasted into the blender, and then you use the 1.5 cup of water that you're soaking the chocolate in there. And then you get this nice color, and it also smells really nice. Oh, sorry. You get this really nice color and this really nice smell. I think that's like my favorite part, just smelling the sauce. It's all toasty. That's all, like I could describe it, just toasty. You just have to smell it yourself. Oh, and then this part, if you find it too thick, you can add more water as well. Step 4 is straining and combining remaining ingredients. So you put a strainer on top of the pot, you're gonna put the sauce, and then you get the liquid out of it, and then the remains are just like the skins from the chile, the tomato, and the red bell pepper, and like parts of the cinnamon. And in this part, you could also add some bit of water to like loosen up the liquid from the remains, and you discard the remains, or you can put it in your garden as compost. That's what I do. And then you put the chocolate into the nice orangey color sauce. And since they're pre-soaked, they're gonna melt fairly quick. Then you start to mix it so it gets to a very nice brown color. It's almost like orangey. And then at this point, you could taste test it. If you want it sweeter, you could put straight up sugar or another chocolate tablet. It depends on your liking. If you want it spicier too, you could put cayenne pepper if you want. And then that's where you add the plantains and incorporate very well. That it has all the sauce in it. Then we have step 6. This is the final step. And you put it on your plate, and then you garnish it with sesame seed, and you could enjoy it either hot or cold. So there it is. I'm hoping that you guys garnish it much more better than I did. And you can enjoy it with a cup of milk or coffee, tea, water, however you like. But here it is. This is mole de plátano. That's the finishing product.
Do you have any questions for Kathy in the process, or any questions about Guatemala?
Yes, sir.
The plátanos, do you always have to cook them to eat them, or can you eat them fresh like a banana?
That's a good question. You can eat it like as a banana, but they're much better fried or cooked.
What are the comparisons with a banana? They're just not as soft, or what? Do they taste somewhat the same, or?
For like regular bananas, they're not very suitable for cooking or like frying. They get all mushy.
No, the plátanos, the taste of the plátanos compared with a banana.
I would say they're kind of fairly the same. They just that's really hard. Yeah, it just tastes like a banana.
So if you like bananas, you could also like them fresh without cooking.
Yeah, yeah. Yes. Oh, the chocolate tablets?
Yeah.
Yes, they do have chocolate, sugar in it.
It's not like Baker's cocoa, it has sugar.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, it's not like Baker's cocoa.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Do I check the chat?
Our website. Okay, I see a question coming in from Nancy. I have a question. Will you please mention, wait a minute, give me a second. Let me pull the. Okay. There is a question from Nancy saying, do you mention if there is not a Guatemala bakeries in Fresno? Do you know any restaurants in Fresno?
No, I do not know if there are any Guatemalan restaurants. I wish there was, but I just know like in Los Angeles, that's where you can find much of the Guatemalan and restaurants and bakeries as well.
There is another question there.
What age did you learn how to make it? I would say when I was like fairly recent, like 2 years ago, I learned how to make it. Yeah. Oh, great presentation. I want to know the water you blend is the one that you used to soak the chocolate tablets. Yes, that's the water that I used to soak the chocolate tablets. Then I put the same water into the toasted ingredients to blend.
For those that are tasting the dessert, what do you think? This is very spicy. Can you taste the chocolate? It's not.
And I can taste the peppers. And they're just right.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Thank you.
So for those in Zoom, I'm sorry, you're not gonna be able to taste it. But those that are tasting it, they said there is really good. So a little bit spicy for some of them. So hopefully you're able to cook it at home. So any other questions or comments for Kathy? No. Kathy, tell us, you are a domestic student here at Fresno State. Why it was important for you to share this recipe with Fresno State community?
I just found it important to share my recipe because one, I'm able to express my culture, and I just find it a very nice dessert that anybody can enjoy. So that's why I'm here presenting it. I guess a little bit of a pride, like, oh, like I know how to make this, and I want you guys to know it, and hope you guys make it and see for yourself like how good it is.
Thank you. We really appreciate you making the time and your mom helping you to make some examples for us to be able to taste it today.
Thank you.
So another question will be, what is your major here at Fresno State?
Oh yeah, so my major is business with the option of computer information systems. And I'm a third year. That's one.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, let's take our traditional coffee hour picture. So if you could open your camera for those before you start leaving, open your camera for a picture.
Marcela.
So Kathy, if you could stand in the front.
Marcela,
Yes, Dr. Pinzon, please.
it's not a question, but I wanted to invite everyone to join us at 3 o'clock. I'll be doing a presentation for International Week. And Jamie is the person who is organizing that. So for the link, the Zoom link, you can get it from her, but join me if you have time.
Yes, definitely. I put the link of the International Education Week events is in our list there. I will put it again right now. So definitely continue enjoying the International Education Week events. We are here, we're gonna have an event every day or more than one until Sunday. We finish our week with Culture Night. Culture Night is our big party of the week. So if you wanna do something with your family, come to Culture Night on Sunday.
Thank you, everybody. So see you at 3 o'clock.
So, okay, so don't go, let's take a picture, Kathy. Go over there.
Over
So,
here?
Yeah, next to the screen so we could see everyone. Okay, do you guys want to be part of the picture? Feel free to. Please don't move, we're moving our audience to the front so everybody could be in the picture. So if you come over the other side so you don't cover the.
For those in the Zoom who have not yet gone to the library, it is so cool that our faces are shown on the big screen. So the audience in the room can see us. Last week I went in person, so it's so cool, and they are standing in front of our screen.
Okay, big smile for the picture.